believe these barriers are created by a patriarchal society in the first place, created by our own mental conditioning. And of course, the only way to get out of these is by women themselves. I cannot tell women that, oh, empower yourself, tomorrow become the CEO of a company. That is not going to happen. But one step towards empowerment on every single day is going to take you ahead in your journey of identity and your self empowerment, right? I could see the difference in me when I took the body positivity journey, right? I could see the difference in me when I became financially independent. I could see the difference in me when I broke the hierarchy status in relationships, okay, and brought equality in the relationships. How do you make an educated choice when you want to become a mother? How do you not take your career lightly? So, for example, I create content on how women should talk to their future partners, that what will happen to my career. You know, we will be in a long distance relationship till I get a job in your city. If I'm putting a blog post which is on women empowerment, gender, motherhood, infertility, which I have passed through, you know, breaking those taboos of treatment cycles and making you look like a villain because you did not take the, you know, line ahead, the family generation ahead, or you are not capable of, you know, conceiving, all of those, you know. So that brought in a lot of traction, Priya. You know, women related so much, they resonated so much.
You had to go and tell a 21-year-old Falguni something, what would you tell her now that you know so much?
Only one thing I would tell, and this is not a rehearsed answer because everywhere I give the same answer, that to a 21-year-old Falguni, I would tell that.
Hi, Falguni ma'am. So excited to
So,
have you on our podcast. It's called the Working Woman Podcast. And thank you so much for making time. For
thank
anyone
you.
who's listening, Falguni ma'am is actually my professor. I can't believe it's going to be over a decade next year since I've
Yes.
graduated from college. But Falguni ma'am doesn't need any introduction. She is a creator, she is a fashionista, she is a professor. Now she's a business owner and she's been challenging norms with ease. But it will be injustice if I don't let ma'am introduce herself. So, ma'am, go ahead and introduce yourself.
So thank you, Priya. First of all my wishes to this wonderful podcast, which I'm sure will make conversations from women's voices, you know, more visible. And it's all altogether my pleasure to be here on this podcast. So talking about my who am I and my career journey, I have been a professor now since 25 years. I have been full-time teaching marketing, advertising strategy. I work at an institute called MICA, which erstwhile used to be known as Mudra Institute of Communications, Ahmedabad. The second hat that I wear is I'm also a content creator along with my full time job as a professor, a social media enthusiast. I love talking on women empowerment, gender equality, body positivity, identity, stereotypes surrounding marriages and motherhood, especially amongst South Asian, community of women. So I create a lot of these content using humor and sarcasm as appeal for my audience, and I'm also four times TEDx speaker. I am invited into forums which talk on these issues, and of course, my domain area, which is marketing and advertising. So, very fulfilling the journey has been. Not a single dry day or a dull moment, and very happy the way in which I have also grown with my, you know, job journey or my career journey. Even I have grown as a human being. I live in Ahmedabad, and I live with my partner, and his name is Dirghayu, and surrounded by a lot of family members here in Gujarat. Yeah.
No, ma'am, that was a wonderful, wonderful introduction. And I feel if you have not followed Falguni ma'am yet, you should absolutely check her out and some amazing content. Like, I still come across people who would share your page with me and be like, oh, I attended this particular lecture, or my brother now in this particular college is attending lecture. And I will be like, oh, Falguni ma'am used to teach us. And then they would be like, oh my God, how lucky. So, no, thank you for sharing. But you brought up a beautiful point in terms of a lot of your content is really about normalizing the challenges the women are facing. So I just straight want to get into it. Like, what are some of the common themes or barriers that you have noticed that women have kind of created around themselves that are actually inhibiting them to achieve their full potential?
So I would like to tweak the question a bit because I am not sure whether it's only women who have created around them. because it's also mental conditioning, right? It's also society that plays a role, or the formative years when you are growing up, the way in which you've seen your parents, your mother, your grandmother, your uncle, your aunt. So all that, puts so much of content in your mind, not necessarily the right kind of content. So I believe these barriers are created by a patriarchal society in the first place, created by our own mental conditioning, and also created by certain, societal taboos and stereotypes that still surround women, unfortunately. Okay. And of course, the only way to get out of these is by women themselves standing up for their own identity and for their own empowerment. But yeah, the barriers are way too many, Priya. If I even start thinking of, like, say for example, stereotypes related to a certain age by which you should get married or become a mother, and because you are a woman, your final anchor of your life is getting married and becoming a mother. So much so that our prayers to Lord also have references to how a banjan is, blessed by a son and not necessarily a girl. Okay. So only a son, not a girl. So this whole issue of, very subtle level of gender inequalities that you see, the age related stereotypes that you see. Also, see, we live in a patriarchal world. So wherever the husband is, the woman has to shift overnight after marriage. That means that you have to leave your job, you have to leave your career, not only your family and friends, but also your something which defined you, your own career. You leave that. Or for example, the whole holistic viewership of, mother as the only responsible person for the child. So whether it is about taking a maternity break or taking a career break or taking care of the child, the mother is the primary nurturer and the provider for the child, right? So there are way too many barriers. In fact, I think your whole podcast will be not enough for us. That 1 hour will not be enough for us if I get to list down the barriers, right? Also, a certain way of presenting yourself when you're a woman. Don't sit like this, don't laugh like this, don't, open your mouth, don't show your teeth, don't spread your legs, don't wear this, don't wear that. So from taboos related to control mechanisms and barriers related to what you do, what you wear, how you act, how you behave, the moment you behave like an independent, confident, educated adult, you are labeled, as somebody who is very fast in the society, or somebody who is very bold, or somebody who is very, in my Hindi language, if I say bindas, and there's nothing, that's the only way to be, right? But these are the barriers, and somewhere it is seen as so much being politically correct that women find it very difficult to step out of it, step out of that comfort zone laid by the society, which you have to break it one day.
No, and I'm so glad you're touching on it, and thank you for correcting me. But there is this like in two parts, right? That we're talking about when we're talking about the barriers. One is the conditioning that exists, and you gave some excellent examples. At a certain age, when are you going to have a baby? Like I get this question all the time. Oh, shadi ko 5 saal ho gaye. Why are you not planning a baby? Oh, what is happening? Why has your husband moved with you? Like that's generally not the case. Like how did you make that happen? She must be very bold. Like it's very easy to stereotype when that's not the norm. But I think the question that I want to deep dive a little bit more on, we live in the age of social media today. Women have a lot of information that they are consuming. They're quite aware of a lot of these barriers. I wouldn't say that about like possibly one generation earlier, like my mom possibly doesn't know and she's continuing to do the same things. But today women know this, they are aware. And even someone like me who's quite bold, quite bindas, like you said, will sometimes feel like, shit, am I doing something wrong? And I'm not finding it hard to break that. And I feel that a lot because about who you are surrounding yourself with. So that is my question around the fact that the barriers that women create, in spite of the awareness, what is the best way in your opinion, on your knowledge, how do we break that?
Leah, let me answer that. It's a beautiful question. But Priya, let me take you back to last year's International Women's Day theme. It was equality and equity. Okay, so what you are talking about are women like you and me around our 5 kilometer radius. whom we see on social media, who we network with, who we sit and sip a cup of coffee with, who we talk to, who we meet at work. What about others? The world is much more than the 5 kilometer radius, right? And that's why the issue of equality and equity. So, what happens when 80% of girls are stopped from going to school just because they've started menstruation? Okay. Or what about families forcing a girl to drop from college because then they won't get an educated groom to match her degrees? So that's why there is an issue of equity here, okay? Not only equality. Let me first clear that out. Once, of course, all of this is cleared, and let us say now I'm talking about women like you and me, okay, who are educated, well informed, earning, financially independent, but still not empowered. There is mental barriers which they need to break, and the answer to that is take your baby steps towards self empowerment on a daily basis. So I always tell in my content also on Instagram that it's nothing is going to change in one day like they show in films, okay? So one fine day I cannot tell women that, oh, empower yourself, tomorrow become the CEO of a company. That is not going to happen. But one step towards empowerment on every single day is going to take you ahead in your journey of identity and your self empowerment, right? So, say for example, there are in India especially, there are too many women who don't work. So they are the homemakers and they are majority right now, right? So to the homemakers, I tell them that make your efforts visible. Nobody is giving you credit. You're also working, but you're not getting paid for your work. So make yourself visible by being absent on certain days. That is empowerment. Make a point that on Sunday, do whatever you want to. I'm not going to enter into the kitchen. Only then your Monday to Saturday efforts in the kitchen will be visible, no? Right? Or start, or for example, too much into the shadow of hierarchy in marriages. As women, we need to try to, let us say, break that down every day. So we were conditioned that husband is on a higher pedestal and a wife is on a lower pedestal. That's why the priest also will tell you pati ke pair chhu, take blessings from your husband. But that whole notion needs to be broken down, and it breaks gradually because it takes time, right? So these small things which you can do in an everyday basis. For example, if you're a working woman, why aren't you planning your own taxes? Why is your investment decision not your own? How can it be your father's decision or your husband's decision? See, they both of them are our loved ones. Okay, so of course we will consult, like they will also consult us. So I will consult my husband whether to put it in an SIP or a mutual fund, or to buy a flat for real estate investment, or to put it in gold or silver. Of course, I will have a very nice, healthy conversation. But the final call has to be yours. Your account has to be your bank account. Today we have this myth that if you have a joint account, then the husband operates. So joint account you can keep, but you need to have your salary account private. That is your own money. Of course you are going to contribute into the household expenses, goes without saying. Of course, it's a house that you have co-created, right? But how is this an empowered woman who is also working, who has no say on where her salary money goes, period? So things like these, these are very small things which we can. And see, sometimes, Priya, it may also lead to conflicts, fights, but these are good fights. These are fights worth fighting for.
I'm so glad you bring the topic about finances, because I think this is the one piece in this financially independent woman who's made it is still so reliant on, like, pehle papa dekhte the and now husband dekhega. Like, I know it all, but I don't understand finances. So I think, like, the step one to get that is to know your finances, learn about it. Itna kuch seekh rahe ho, it's not foreign, right? Like, you can figure it out. So that is such a good point. I love the one thing that I want you to definitely touch on is the fact that I've seen some of your content where you talk about control chhodna padega. Mera kitchen hai. It's me. I feel like once I was watching your content and I was just like, I think in certain times I do the same thing where even like we have a very 50-50 relationship, and even when Darshan is coming and he wants to help, I will be like, no, 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 I know how to do this better, after a long day of work. And then I'm frustrated also that, maine ye bhi kara. So talk to me about that. Like, how did you come to that realization or that piece of content and it resonates so much?
Yeah, because society has defined some domains as so much women only domains like kitchen, home, child care, elderly care, generations को फेविकॉल के जैसे जोड़ के रखना. All of these have been, marked, labeled as only by women, only for women. Okay, that's why we have developed a territorial mindset. The control that you are talking about, we are very territorial. So, say for example, the husband wants to help in the baby's diaper changing process. कि एटलीस्ट ये तो मैं कर सकता हूँ. सी आई कैन नॉट फीड द बेबी मिल्क बिकॉज ब्रेस्ट मिल्क कम्स फ्रॉम द मदर. ओके, बट आई कैन चेंज द डायपर. नहीं नहीं, रैशेज हो जाएंगे, आप ठीक से नहीं करोगे, आई विल डू इट. सो यू आर टेरिटोरियल. नाउ बाय बीइंग टेरिटोरियल यू आर नॉट सीकिंग हेल्प, नंबर वन. Number two, you are thinking that you can be A plus everywhere. You can perform everywhere to the best of your capacity because you are only one human. वो होने वाला नहीं है. That's not going to happen. And that's why at the end of it, you are tired, you are stressed, you are frustrated, you are depressed at times. Many women sink into depression postpartum because there's so much of change in their life which has brought by the baby that everybody else expects you to be happy because now finally you are the mother and you have a child and you have a healthy baby, but you have no idea how your life has completely changed overnight, right? So women need to also stop being territorial and seek help. See, in when you stop being territorial, Priya, you are also breaking certain gender norms set by the society. So in a way, you are revolutionizing. Okay, you are being a rebel for some people, but that some people are random people. You do not worry about those random people. Your core, your partner, your sibling, your best friend still understands you that you are a human being and you need help. So women also have this issue in their mind, and this is one of the barrier which you earlier asked me, which they need to break, that they stop need to they should stop being territorial all the time, and gender roles have to be diluted, right? Everything has to get neutralized. Whoever has time does that work, irrespective of laundry, household cleaning, kitchen, food, groceries, petrol, whatever work comes in running a house. Yeah, so we also need to be territorial, stop being territorial. No, no, I was not. No, no, I was also territorial because I wanted to prove to everybody, that, oh my God, what a star daughter in law this family has got. So I wanted to be like that best daughter in law, the best wife, the best professor at Micah, but also turning out, 52 dishes like a Ma Annapurna. Okay, so I was like that. Of course, I was like that. So I would get up at 5 a.m. My day would end at 11 in the night. Along with it, I'm also prepping for my classes because that time I was also a young professor, right? I was not 25 years old in my journey that I just have to do incremental prep, every day. So yeah, so I was doing everything, and I was doing everything because to those random relatives I wanted to prove that what a great woman I am. That PhD भी है, गोल रोटी भी बना सकती है, पूरन पोली भी बना लेगी, गेस्ट को भी होस्ट कर लेगी, everything. And it was so stressful, oh my God, to that young Falguni who was newly married, had shifted a job, had shifted a town, was into a new family, एकदम पूरा नया वर्ल्ड था. rather than enjoying my newly married phase 100%, I was somewhere 80% in that role performance stress and 20% I was enjoying life. Okay, then dheere dheere gradually I understood that at the end of it, it's your health at risk, health of your body, health of your relationship, expectations of society, and you trying to put yourself way too thin. So that's when I started seeking help. I gave the whole household stuff to, because in India we get house help. So I have house help for cooking, cleaning, kitchen, everything. Okay. So now I don't, and initially I felt that guilt, that what will people think, that she is a cook now. So doesn't she know how to cook? So that is that. So I initially, Priya, very funnily, now I laugh on myself. Initially, when people used to ask me that, do you have a cook? Then I would say, yeah, I love cooking, but I have a cook because I have to travel a lot. Why would I put I love cooking there? Why? I was like self, giving answers to the expected judgments. So I think all of us grow like this because we gradually break that mold of, that those barriers that we were talking about. So today I just enjoy my life as a professor, as a content creator. I prioritize what I want from my life, and I'm happy outsourcing, things which are secondary to my overall identity and existence. Yeah, but it's gradual, very gradual.
Yeah, so I love that you shared and you have a system in place about that. My question is, when did it start? How did it happen? Was there a light bulb moment one day, or like a particular incident where you were like कि नहीं, like अब और नहीं हो पाएगा?
Yeah, I think it was gradual because my back was hurting. I was being stressed on my completion of my thesis for my PhD. There were societal responsibilities which were growing at home. And tying all of this through this one thread that is me was not happening. Okay, and that's when I thought enough of it. So gradually I started outsourcing. So the gradual shifts happened, and I saw the result. Right, I saw the outcome of outsourcing, and that difference was the light bulb moment for me, I think. The quality time that I was saving. And Priya, that's why today, as a 49-year-old, almost being 50, right? I create lots of reels on this thing because I want the younger Falgunis to have that light bulb moment ASAP in their life. Not wait till 30, 35 to get that gyan, that Buddha moment, that enlightening moment. So that's why I do a lot of reels on this plus body positivity, because a 13-year-old Falguni never thought she'll wear a frock ever in her lifetime, right? So all this, I think more women of my age need to come out and share their journeys. That's why when you invited me on this podcast, my instant reaction was a yes. Anything related to women, I want to voice it out.
No, that is so. We're going to touch upon body positivity because such an important topic in India. But before that, if you had to go and tell a 21-year-old Falguni something, what would you tell her now? Now that you know so much as a 49-year-old woman.
Only one thing I would tell, and this is not a rehearsed answer because everywhere I give the same answer, that to a 21-year-old Falguni, I would tell that dream based on your potential, not based on the social timings. So, for example, the social timings of getting married, becoming a mother, finding a groom, settled means getting married. I would challenge all that and tell a 21-year-old Falguni, dream. Dream and act on your dreams based on your potential, not on the societal stereotypes. That's the only thing. Like, for all you know, I would have gone abroad to do my PhD, which is always will be now a dream, right? So I would have not gone and settled down. So as and when, I would have wanted to, not as and when the society thought it was right, right?
No, I hear you. And I think that is such a big thing in India till now. Like, even when I was moving, the first thing my parents' mind was like, oh, you should get married before moving. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, and they're coming from a good place because they don't know any better. They're like, अकेले कैसे करेगी? But I think today's generation pushes it to the point where they are like, एकदम anti. या एकदम एंटी लाइक पेरेंट्स को बिल्कुल समझ में नहीं आता एंड रिबेल करने चले जाओ या फिर एकदम कि इधर चले जाओ कि अभी चलो फिर नहीं जा पाएंगे सो आई थिंक लाइक इट्स सो इम्पोर्टेंट टू फाइंड दैट मिडिल ग्राउंड आई फील दीज डेज लाइक हैव द कॉन्वर्सेशन.
In fact, Priya, everything in India is whatever you wish to do is after marriage, no? So even small things like I want to color my hair, or do it after your marriage if your husband allows. I want to take a solo trip, or do it after marriage if your family feels okay. So this allow, this permission bound existence is still there. Don't think that in the age of machine learning and artificial intelligence and Chandrayaan, so we only have to stand up for ourselves. That's it. Like you did, when you moved.
We have to. I feel like it's so important to do that stuff and we it just takes a while, and I think I'm glad you said it in such a nice way that these are incremental things, smaller things. Overnight nahi ho jayega, karte karte you are going to get there. So that's beautiful. Definitely want to talk about body positivity because personally for me as well, and when I moved here, of course everyone is like 6 feet and I'm like 5 feet and like timid and tiny. Like I feel initially I couldn't care less because of the kind of person. I don't let these things play but in my head, but I think there are certain times, there are signs where you are like, oh, is it something I should be thinking about? Probably not, and I go on with my life. But I think I have pretty thick skin and couldn't care less, but I can understand a lot of women who get impacted by something like that. So you have a beautiful journey, so I would love for you to share, how did you embrace it, own it, and now you're launching your brand?
Sure, sure. So, see, body positivity as a movement started as fat acceptance, accepting fat bodies as being inclusive and diverse, and different types of body forms. But today it has traveled a lot more. It's not only about fat; it's also about being thin, being tall, being shorter than whatever is defined as the society's way of proper and correct. Okay, beauty. Yeah. So see, all the while growing up, I was always a fat girl. Okay, I was born as a fat baby. I grew up as a fat girl. I was a fat teenager. I was a fat young woman, and today I'm a fat, mid age woman. Okay, so initially, what happens is, in your formative years, you hear a lot of people asking you to slim down because you're too fat, not because of your health. Nobody goes to the health regiment, okay, territory, but everybody says you look more beautiful if you will reduce 10 kgs, or you'll look more beautiful if you don't have specs, for example. So appearance related, okay. And on the other side is your popular culture, that is TV, newspapers, magazines, films, television, where you see only one type of beauty getting portrayed. So Priya, if you have seen Indian films, most of the Indian films where you're a very talented plus size actor, she will end up being the heroine's best friend, or the hero's sister, or in a comic role, because fat people always have to be comic in their timing. Okay, they can do only comedy. They cannot do beauty. They cannot do anything else. So the whole idea of portrayal of being size zero as beautiful is so entrenched in our minds that somewhere it is extremely it formulates your own biases towards your body. So I would not say that I was a very body shy a teenager, but I would say that I was extremely conscious about my body, okay, about my looks. And growing up in my school, I was winning gold medals. I was a national level garba player, so folk artist, I was the head girl of the school. I was in the city ranks in my boards, and so everything else was like always correct. I'm a double gold medalist, right? So academically strong, cultural committees may activities may I was strong, but somewhere I was not expressing myself. I will call myself in those years as a fashionista who was in a closet. She had not come out of the closet, so I was very, very, I was very fashionable, okay, but I would not express myself fully. So I would not keep my hair open, for example, or I would not experiment with haircuts, or I would not experiment with clothes. I would always wear a three-piece, suit which is covering my whole body, because somewhere I was very conscious that, oh, I am fat. I am not those typical good-looking type of girls. So I was in my brain, yeah. Now, how did the shift happen? I'll tell you. So as you grow, you get more education, right? I did my post graduation. I joined MICA, which was more of a global institute. So I was meeting very different kinds of people who would talk only, your subject knowledge domain. They would never judge you on your body. They would appreciate you for your content or value that you bring on table, right? They were always appreciative of your talent, of your skill sets. And then I started traveling a lot for my conferences. So when I remember my first trip to US, and I was shocked when I saw women of all sizes wear mini skirts, shorts, basically whatever they wanted to wear. And what was shocking for me? Number one, they're carrying it. Number two, nobody's staring. Nobody is staring. Yeah, nobody is commenting. Nobody is joking on their body. Culturally it was considered rude to joke on somebody's body. Now I learned all that, okay. And on the other side, I was also becoming financially independent, so that brings in a different form of confidence in you. So all these things combined, readings, networking with global mindset people, traveling to cross cultural countries, and imbibing those cultures, and then your financial independence, all. And suddenly at the age of 30, and of course my partner is also a very body positive person, so that also makes a lot of difference. The circle in which you are, surrounded by your core people, that also impacts your level of confidence. So somewhere you started seeing yourself much more than your body, that you're a very different human being, and the value you bring on table is way more than what average human being can bring. So that confidence, that starts building your confidence. Okay. And at the age of 30, I started getting my haircuts, coloring my hair, wearing different kinds of dresses. So at the age of 38, 39, first time I wore a knee length frock. Can you imagine? Right? Pants, trousers, whatever I wanted to wear, in my teen years. Now I'm wearing it. And at the age of 40, I launched my Facebook page called Falguni's Fashion Fundas, because everybody was so lured by my fashion sense that they were asking for sources. Where did you get this from? Give us styling tips, give us this tips. So I thought it's the right time to launch a page where I'll give all those narratives. And then slowly I started building my Instagram, and I saw that rather than just putting a styling post, if I'm putting a blog post which is on women empowerment, gender, motherhood, infertility, which I have passed through, breaking those taboos of treatment cycles, and making you look like a villain because you did not take the line ahead, the family generation ahead, or you are not capable of conceiving, all of those. So that brought in a lot of traction, Priya. Women related so much, they resonated so much. Yeah, exactly. In fact, you have seen me grow, right? Because before 10 years, if I was teaching you, today's Falguni is very different, in terms of how I have evolved in my journey. So today I don't give a damn to, any judgment. I have grown in my confidence. I wear whatever I want to wear, because the comfort in you comes from your confidence. So you should have the confidence to carry, irrespective of your size, skin color, hair type, your height, your weight, irrespective of that. And I always tell this to young girls, that it's not a Zara or a Bobby Brown or a Mac that makes you. You make them. Please understand that. Please, the internal makeup first has to be restructured and reorganized and decluttered and, defragmented, whatever terminology. Only then these things will look good on you, right?
No, that is that's beautiful, because I've seen that journey, and I think it's hard to break that barrier. And you like would love to understand how internet is a beautiful place, but it can also be a very ruthless place. How did you decide to start putting content and the messages?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I could see the difference in me when I took the body positivity journey, right? I could see the difference in me when I became financially independent. I could see the difference in me when I broke the hierarchy status in relationships, okay, and brought equality in the relationships. And I could see those positive changes. Then I thought that what if I take to a platform where I can talk about these to younger women who will not have to go to the age of 40 to wear a frock, for God's sake, simple things like that, or who would make an informed choice before getting married, just not getting married because society is saying you want to get married to this person, that's why you're getting married, right? How do you make an educated choice when you want to become a mother? How do you not take your career lightly? So for example, I create content on how women should talk to their future partners, that what will happen to my career, we will be in a long distance relationship till I get a job in your city, things like those. So I thought if I take to social media, my reach of my thoughts, the platform will provide me much more than a classroom where I am confined to, putting my thoughts or walking the talk, as my students would see me. So if it is only my students, then maybe 500 people are getting influenced indirectly every year. But if it is social media platform, it is 5,000, tomorrow it will be 50,000, next time it will be 1,50,000, so it will keep growing. And you won't believe, Priya, I get messages from, daughter-in-laws from the most conservative Rajasthan families in smallest of villages, okay, because they are using Facebook. So I link my Instagram page to my Falguni's Fashion Fundas because I don't want to lose out on tier 2, tier 3 homemakers. And they message me that after we have started following you, though we can't do much in this conservative setup, but I have learned 5 different ways of styling my dupatta because हमारे में सर ढकना पड़ता है. But now I do it as a fashion choice. Now it's giving me goosebumps when I am saying it. you know, sar pe palla lena because of societal pressure versus doing it as a fashion statement, कितना आप में happiness बढ़ेगा, right? You are so much more happier, exactly. And this is, I think, today what keeps me going. A young 20-year-old telling me that I fought with my parents that I will complete my masters first, before that I don't want to get married, or somebody writing to me that your content gave us strength to move out of my own family which was toxic, and you told me that become financial independent, stay in a PG hostel, but finish your education, only then your decisions will matter. So things like these, and this is what keeps me going. I'm never going to stop, Priya.
No, you should. You, oh my gosh, I think such a great message because you're using it to amplify and empower and like truly, like, I feel like this is your calling. Like, this comes to you so naturally. Like, I can see the passion, and I will not ask. I feel I should ask this question, though I know the answer. Who does your scripting and content and edit?
God, and please tell through your podcast that there is no script, okay? So, firstly, there is no script. In fact, I laugh firstly at the question because people ask me, who does the scripting? Who does this thing? Who means I'm a one woman army, okay? Because if you see the speed at which I produce and post content, having a team is nearly impossible because they'll not be able to run with your time, right? And see, for me, since I'm a full-time working woman, I have a home and family to manage, right? I'm a very social person also. Like you can see, I've just come from a wedding. So I also do all this. I love being a social person. Okay. So whatever are my time brackets, I produce content in those time brackets. How do I do it? Selfie mode, or I use my cupboard, my window pane, whatever acts as a tripod, my dining table, whatever becomes my tripod, and whatever is my moment of the day, I just shoot out spontaneously on the camera. Maybe it will take one or two retakes if I'm not happy, but absolutely there is no script, okay, and there is no script writer.
Yeah, I feel like people who haven't met you will not know this, but I know you, and I know, like, if you have you found your passion, you know what you're doing, you are just going to do it, like you said, like.
In fact, I'm scared, that if the younger Falguni would have got this content creation, I would never have become a professor. मेरा full time ये business होता, okay?
Oh, I think that is where you should actually say something. Most of the parents are worried about that piece, that oh, अभी content creation करने लगे अब आगे पढ़ाई नहीं करेंगे. What advice do you have for women like that?
Yeah, but Priya, that way I do feel, as a 49-year-old woman who is also almost a godmother to five nieces and nephews, I'm almost like their second mother, that your education is a must. Okay, whatever content creation you talk about. If I tell you from the India lens, do you know that people who had like millions of followers on TikTok overnight became shadowed because TikTok got banned? So ये platforms है, YouTube, Instagram are platforms. Anytime they may come and go. Anytime you're, so what I'm trying to tell you is, I'm not discouraging you that don't do your content creation. Do it, but your basic education is a must. So today having a master's degree is a basic requirement, right? So that in late, then you do your full-time content creation, so that in future if something adverse happens, then you have to fallback option is your master's degree. So I completely agree with those parents, because this cannot become your bread and butter. Your bread and butter has to come from somewhere else. This will be your jam.
Yeah, I love that. That is a great analogy that has to be something we start with, because it is the absolute truth that yes, today's youth has a lot of career choices, but I think they forget that just because social media brings you a lot of limelight, it's easy to get distracted. I think that is where.
No, also Priya, I feel not everybody can be a content creator. No, this is also skill based. Not everybody will not become a Veer Das. No,
Yeah, but I think when people start, they start with that optimism that oh, बहुत easy है क्या है? Like you just go on camera, start saying things, फिर I'll get viral one day. But I think I have gotten so many.
easy nahi hai. Ask me, because I don't put money into push or boost posting. So my organic growth has been so slow. So you have to be patient also with that growth. So
Yeah, and unless you have a fixed income, you cannot get patient because how are you going to pay your bills? So I think people lose sight of the fact, and like anyone sometimes comes and tells me oh it's so easy, I just tell them like for the next 30 days put out 30 pieces of content and see if it is easy. And
try creating one content and post it. I post three times in a day, but you do one, I'm saying. You do one every day.
and then we'll see what happens. But we will come back to your current life, but we will do a little bit of rapid fire coffee with Karan style. So first thing that comes to mind, super simple: coffee or tea?
100% tea, adrak wali chai.
Adrak wala. Fame or money?
Fame for me, I think.
Oh, interesting. You
I
talk
love
so much
fame.
about, oh, you talk so much about
I know,
financial freedom.
I know,
I
but I
just
love being in the limelight also. Okay, but I will not do it without money. Fame comes with money, so
money. That's a good point. The most important thing in your life,
my happiness.
the most important person in your life.
Way too many, Priya. It will be very difficult, but
Uh,
maybe the closest, the my weakest point of my heart is my niece. Because
okay.
I feel she's the daughter, God gave to a wrong address to my
Uh,
brother's home.
that's a good one. Mountains or beaches?
Mountains.
And your favorite movie?
Many, 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 but because I'm a Shah Rukh fan, Dil To
I
Pagal
thought
Hai
so.
aur Kuch Kuch Hota
Oh,
Hai.
nice. I'm also biggest Shah Rukh fan, so I
Yes,
completely hear you. What is your favorite book?
Thousand Splendid Suns
Love that
by
book.
Khalid Hosseini. Yeah.
Anything you're watching right now? What are you watching right now?
Right now, I'm watching Mrs. Maisel the last season, and I just
Nice.
completed Education the last season.
Okay. Who do you text the most?
My friends,
Hmm. Put in order of importance: success, money, career, health, family.
family first, number one. Number two, career and health. I think both will come together. Number three, money, and number four, success.
Nice. And the last one, what is your motto in life?
Make the most of what you have. Don't keep crying on what you don't have,
Don't.
because if you keep seeing the negatives of your life, you'll never be able to see the blessings of your life. Be grateful
Mm.
for what you have and make the most of it.
Oh, that's beautiful. I go by this quote, and I was just thinking about what my motto is, and so much in line with yours. So I have to share it. It is: live with no excuses and love with no regrets.
Wow, I love it.
So
I
I feel
love
like
it.
I live by it, and I try my best
Great,
for.
great,
But now
great.
we'll come to the last part of the
Yeah.
podcast about you've done so much, right? You've challenged norms effectively. You're managing so many things together. You're empowering women. But right now, in this current stage in your career, what is the most difficult thing that you are dealing with? What are your challenges like on a day to day basis, or the big ones that you're trying to work through?
So obviously, honestly, I do feel that when you reach to this stage, like you're 25 years in your career, you're almost 50, your family is sorted. I think quite a few of things in life are sorted. Okay, Priya. So even if I'm facing challenges, they don't appear as a mountain set of challenges which used to appear to a 25-year-old Falguni. So somewhere you found your way to number one, navigate through those challenges. Number two, you've built up an ecosystem around your life which will help you smoothen those challenges. And you've also learned the art of royally ignoring, okay, some things which will not let the challenges affect you. Okay, so I honestly I don't feel I have major challenges right now in my life. I'm quite sorted and I'm quite settled and happy. But of course, I'll tell you. Maybe not, maybe my built up mental makeup is such that I'm not seeing it as challenges. But broadly, I'll tell you, because women entered the workforce late, we are always seen as a secondary income earner. So the challenge of making yourself gender pay gaps, gender equality at work, at home, I think all those challenges we have to continuously keep fighting to make things better for us. I'm not saying they are completely wrong right now, but you have to still keep making it better till you achieve a stage where everyone gets that.
No, that's true. I think there are some battles that you have to keep fighting, but otherwise, like we are never going to get there. And that's a good one to, I think, fight across everything. But you're so sure of everything that is, and you said this is your stage in life and where it is. But there are so many women, and this podcast will be incomplete if I don't touch on imposter syndrome, because it is for real, that exists in the community. How, like, did you ever face that imposter syndrome? And for women who go through that, what is your advice for them?
So I think once in a while, all of us experience that, and you feel that did you deserve it at all or not? Were you the right person for it? But somewhere, I think for women, it comes because of our secondary citizenship that is in our mind, okay, because of the patriarchal society. We have a secondary citizenship, right, in families, and you are treated secondary to the male counterpart, and I think that's why psychologically we have a lot more imposter syndrome than men who should. Sometimes it's factually they are imposters, okay, factually speaking, but we don't take our own right also. Wherever you have a right to whatever you want in job or career or in families or in social circumstances. I think we need to think of imposter syndrome in the sense that is it your mental conditioning, is it your gender bias speaking, is it your social stereotype speaking. We need to question those things whenever we experience the imposter syndrome. So I think it's very natural and normal for every woman to experience that once in a while. But please rub off this doubt, because the moment you will start thinking through, you will realize, oh yes, of course I'm meant for this job.
Yeah, you put it in a very beautiful way, that ask those questions like where is it coming from, and try to like stem it there itself. But I've also come to realize, and I want to touch on this a little bit, around building a community, a supportive community. I feel things like imposter syndrome, or things like, okay, finance is not something women should be doing, it's something we have created as a community, because there are women who would be like, oh, I don't do this, or this is what I feel, and then you collectively are always in that phase where you are feeling like, oh, I think aisa hi hota hai, some like everyone lives like that. But that's not like true, because now you're surrounded or attracted that. So talk to me about building a supportive community and breaking some of that.
That's why podcasts like yours, right, or more voices being heard, women being more visible, so the whole visibility aspect, you have to be more visible at home, at work, in conferences, in networking events, in summits, right, in publications, in published work, wherever. Please take credit for your work. That is the first thing, individually what you can do, right? Start taking credit for whatever is your due. That is the first thing. Second, I think women like me who have traversed that journey, who have taken that step, they need to understand how they can be a mentor to these younger women. And I always feel that women more need to go grow into leadership roles so that they can mentor young women, because women drop out at mid career because they have become mother. Now they have two children, there's no support system, so they have dropped their careers. More and more women should not drop their careers and grow. So today when I am a senior professor, in my workplace, I am a mentor to the young girls. They come and discuss things with me. They find me, become somebody's safe space. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Not everybody can build up a large social media community like me, but in your own individual capacities, can you become a safe space? Also, Priya, I think at home, me and my all my relatives, my sister-in-laws, my sister-in-law means my husband's sister, as well as my brother's wife, we all have challenged this status quo that you are enemies. No, we are siblings, we are almost close. We have challenged this. So become a safe space at home also, rather than being that, oh, I'm the elder daughter-in-law, I will see how you will fare. Now please become her safe space. No, she's vulnerable, she's young, she doesn't know the family as you know. So whether it is at home, whether it is at work, whether it is at community level, try being somebody's safe space. Your journey is done if you're somebody's safe space. That means there is credit of your journey, people find you trustworthy, you are responsible enough, you're giving it back to the society. बड़ी बड़ी चीजें करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. Don't think that, no, मैं तो women's wing की chairman नहीं हूँ. I'm not Ficky Flow's president. It's okay, please be somebody's safe space. No, your
Yeah.
job is done.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful thought. One piece of question: do you have a role model that you look up to, or did you have one growing up to?
Of course, while growing up, I saw my mother working in that day and age full time, and that financial independence that came with that work, the struggles that she went through. So at home, of course, it's my mother in law in her age was working. And to tell you, when I got engaged, It was my mother-in-law who told me that please do not change your surname because this is your identity. So these are modern women, of that day and age. Yes, yes, I see that shocking.
I know, I feel I should have started with it because I haven't changed my name and I keep getting questions as to it. And
No, and see, I was never going to change my name, but my mother-in-law endorsing it, it became so much of a respect position for me that time that I saw her in a different light. Are you getting my point? So at home, of course, it is my mother, my mother-in-law, right? And it was my in-laws who were more excited when I did my PhD because they were telling everybody that she's the first daughter-in-law with a doctor in front of her name. So all those at home, but at outside home, of course there are way too many. So I love Sudha Murthy ma'am and her work that she does, how she supported her partner, how she grew as an independent, CSR person. I love Jacinda Ardern, right, who was the Prime Minister of New Zealand. So there are way too many. I love Michelle Obama and her work also. Indra Nui, right? So many of, yeah, so many. Yeah.
growing up. No, but I loved how you started with the family aspect, and I think people who have those supportive families and in-laws, same like on my end as well, feel extremely lucky. And if you don't, find your safe space, to Falguni ma'am's point, and you'll get there. Want to close this out with the most beautiful brand that you're launching, Punk. It is everything I think that you embody. So talk to us about the brand and what's next for Falguni ma'am.
Oh, yes. Oh, I love it that I think almost at the age of 50 now I'm launching my brand. So it's a small thing, but yeah, having a brand is a big thing. So we were ideating on, me and the agency that I worked with, were ideating on the brand name. And I said it has to be something to do with women empowerment. It cannot do anything with me being Gujarati because that's not my identity. I don't create content in Gujarati because they came up also with brand names like Majama. Okay. And I said, no, that is not the it, but I want something to be women empowerment. And that's where Pankh was born. So Pankh by Falguni is, Pankh means wings in English, right? So these are your wings to fly because somewhere I tell people that you will have to create your own skies. You may not like to fly in the sky that is created and given to you. Create your own canvas, create your own sky, but never lose your wings to fly. Just because you are married, your identity cannot be compromised with. Just because you are a mother, that's not the only way you will be known for, right? So don't compromise on your happiness, your identity. That's the whole idea of Punk. And Punk is into apparels. Right now we have started with saris and dupattas, and it is going to come collection wise. So my first collection is my most liberating thought, women at leisure, because I've never seen a resting woman, while growing up. So women doing nothing, women swinging, women in balcony sipping chai, reading newspaper, women gossiping in parks, women having a nice cup of coffee at Starbucks. It can mean anything. But women basically not under the pressure to, always be performing,
Yeah,
because that's why women at leisure collection is my first collection.
love
And
it.
let's see what holds for it in the future.
I love it.
Interesting collections will keep coming.
I loved how beautiful they are. And I was just talking to Pooja to see if we can get it shipped in the US. But I will share a link to everyone because this podcast will be for everyone worldwide. So hopefully people can check out your collection. But it's a beautiful thought. Punk, wings, women at leisure. I feel I need to take some inspiration. I feel like I have a big checklist of ye karna, ye karna, ye karna, ye karna, like constantly like not giving yourself that grace and having it's beautiful. I'm
Basically being kinder to yourself.
Oh, that's it's beautiful. I am so like I love the name and wish you all the success. And if there is one person who can make this brand go global and reach every household is you. And I hope you make that happen. And then we'll do edition 2 of this podcast where we will cover your brand in detail. But thank you so much for coming. It was such a pleasure having you, and thank you for being yourself and just saying things the way they are and putting out that content and empowering so many of us who look up to you now. We appreciate everything you do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you.